then something mysterious started to happen. Ordinary people, people that were in mental hospitals, people who were under prescribed drugs just to make them cope for life, they would come to the house, and suddenly, just like that, their eyes would open up and they would say, got it. I don't need a doctor anymore. And they would go back to the therapist and say, thank you for all the help you've given me, but I don't need you anymore. And the therapist would say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They'll say, well, all I realized was it was my own thoughts that was creating my problem. And the therapist would say, no, it's a lot worse than that. It's a lot worse than that. Then the next thing you know, the ordinary person would be consulting the doctor. And I thought, well, if this is the way it has to go, this is the way it'll go. So people from all over the world started to come. And they all started to pick it up. And they jumped the boundaries of time and found what they were looking for. Instead of going through a process, go from this person to that person, this place to that place, this idea from another idea. They found it now. That's why the wise from the beginning of time have always told you the most important thing in this world is to live in the now. Because if you live in the now, you're not living in the past, you're not living in the future, you're living now. You're living in an uncontaminated version of life. Now, instead of taking years to get to this stage, they found it in an instant. They tell me it takes years and years to find mental health. That's not true. You're looking for one magical thought. And if you can find that one magical thought, you're free. You really are. You're free for life. And honestly, all it is love and understanding. That's what they're giving away. The people react when they find love and understanding. Because that's why a lot of them went astray in the first place. Because they lacked it. Yeah. And they blamed their parents, blamed their past. And this is the big problem. We believe that, and it's true, to one stage. One stage in life, when you were a child, you go through all those experiences, whether they be good or bad, and this creates your character. And you carry it through life. But that's not where the cure is in the past. The cure is now. Because when you look really carefully, think about it. Does the past really exist? Or is it in your head? Does the future really exist? Or is it in your head? The past no longer exists. The future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is now. And if you can see that, what it does, it drops all those horrible feelings or experiences you've gone through. It drops them. And it cleans the slate, cleans your mind. And you see with clarity now. Again, I say, this is why all the wise from the past have always told you to come back to the now. That's all that exists. You see, there's nothing you can do by thinking about the negative. There really isn't. It just gets you in trouble. And if you realize it's all thought, you come back to the positive, then you do something positive. Believe me, if anybody in this world realizes the true nature of thought, they are automatically enlightened. If anybody realizes the true nature of mind, they're automatically enlightened. And if anybody realizes the true nature of consciousness, they're automatically enlightened. Because all three are the same thing with different words, and words are trying to explain the unexplainable. Because what I'm saying to you now is not the truth. It's the echo of the truth. Because the second it comes out of your mouth, it comes from the very essence of your soul, because your soul is pure consciousness. It comes out, and as soon as it reaches this physical reality, it is no longer truth. It's the echo of truth. And when you talk truth, or you talk true knowledge, whatever you want to call it, it's only the echo. It is not truth. Truth can only be found one place and one place only, and that is deep within your own soul. It's inside. It's always been there. And when you start to explain it, you're explaining in metaphor. It's a metaphor. Everything I've said today is a metaphor. You look in your own Bible, whatever it may be, it's all metaphors. We take metaphors as gospel and we get lost. Now, a lot of people get upset at me if they're religious people, because I am not a religious person. I never will be. Spiritual, yes. Spiritual is before the form, before creation. If you can talk before form, you're talking to every human soul in the world. Somebody says to me, there's no one thing in the world can help everybody. They don't know what they're talking about. Because as I said before, the three principles are before form. They're divine gifts that enable us to see light. How you use them is up to you, because you have a free will. And somebody says, no, I don't have a free will. You have it, I do. Why do you? Why do I? What do you use? The three principles on everything you see, the three principles of life. Those trees and those ocean and everything else is sky, not be there. She didn't have free will. Nothing. You wouldn't even exist. Take away your consciousness. Nothing would exist. Take away your mind. Nothing. Remember what I'm talking about. Not collecting mind. You are divine mind. You know that saying, I am what I see? That's what I'm talking about. You are what you see. All words mean one thing, and that's that three oneness. And that three oneness is form, 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 is form. You put the form and the forms together, you have an wholeness. You don't understand what you said. You're looking for a feeling. It's conscious in the thought, well, that's simple. Like sensitivity in the life, which is a little bit. You want to play an instrument. And so look at all these different instruments. Piano, and all these keys. Oh, that's good. Accordion, that's good. Banjo, that's good. The violin, so you've got three strings, that's easy. So you go through. You can get a 4-year-old child, say to them, repeat after me. The secret lies in mind, conscious, and thought. Within a minute, you have it. So you have it. So grow up, as you say, I can do it. Mind, conscious, and thought. You go around spreading mind, conscious, and thought, and then spreading it with an old knowledge. You find true knowledge, the old set there. Dies in you. No body. Everything is come from the new mind, the new consciousness, the new consciousness. And that consciousness is like that window. I get up and scratches all over that window. All the scratches. Each scratch represents volatility. So when you start to realize mind, conscious, and thought, bit by bit, the scratches disappear. Then you start seeing the clarity. Because you're uncontaminating your own mind. And that's the idea. Now, if anybody takes you back into the past, you know what they're doing? They're saying, can you see through that window? And say, no. Then they put a whole bunch of scratches on it from the past and say, can you see now? No. Oh, great. Come back tomorrow and have the session. That doesn't make sense. But it's all done innocently. And you have to remember that. It's all done innocently. And if you can use those three principles, not just for yourself, but for everybody, because the more help you can give to humanity, the more help you bring to yourself. You know that saying, to give is to receive? When I'm giving you this, I'm filling up so much I can hardly talk. Because I'm giving away something that I know will help you through life. And when you go home, you'll give it to your children. You give it to your children, they pick it up, they go to school, and instead of being little tyrants, if something happens to them, they go to school, they find new friends, they give it away. And it's like a chain letter. It just keeps going. I've seen people change so fast, even in an audience. You look around and you see somebody's face, it's all drawn and worried. You look around and you think, well, where did that person go? And they're sitting smiling, they're happy. And they come up and tell you later on, they've never felt like this in life before. You meet them 6 months later, you don't even know them. And they'll say, do you remember me? I say, no, I'm sorry, who are you? Well, I'm the lady that, and they explain who they are. Because once you realize it, you never go back. Once your consciousness has taken a jump, once it's risen, you never go back. You might temporarily fall into it. But you say to yourself, wait a minute, I don't like this. This is my thoughts. It's gone again. Then you're back into sanity. You might not hear it. And later on, you might be having a bath. You might be walking down the street. You might just be sitting. And all of a sudden, bingo, you say, got it. Your life will never be the same. It's a sudden, because you get an insight. That's why those people throughout the ages have always talked about an insight. Look within. Look inside for the answer. An insight. Look inside. An insight. It's a sight from within. And that's where wisdom comes from. Because you bypass your little mind, your little consciousness, your little thought system. You've gone deep into your soul, where the purity of thought, purity of consciousness, purity of mind exists. You tap into it, and you go, oh, now I know what it means. I know what she was saying, or he was saying. And you turn around to your friend and you say, you know something? I just realized you could talk till hell freezes over. If they're not ready, they won't hear you. Because you're only calling the echo of what you thought. Can't explain it. I'm not explaining it right now. I'm trying, but I'm not explaining it. It's up to you. Always up to you. There's a million stories go with this. Very funny ones, very sad ones, but mostly funny. Comical ones. And I know it's a little bit fearsome for somebody that's been trained for many, many years on a certain thing to find out that all their training was in vain. I know that, I'm not stupid. But that one insight be worth 10 times, 100 times all the training put together. And that's what some of you people here have realized. That your training you had was of no value, and it frightened the living dickens out of you. Many of you here have told me that what you find to replace it is so far beyond you don't want it anymore. It's like saying your bad memories. I don't want to lose my bad memories because I worked for them. I went through hell with all these bad experiences and memories, and you're going to take them away from me? I don't want that. I just want to be happy. Well, how are you going to be happy if you're hanging on to the old? You're going to throw it away and find a new. And when you find the new, you've got it. So if anybody ever starts thinking back into the past, my advice is walk out and see that person who's lost. See them as innocent. Don't get angry, just see them as lost and walk away. And if you want help, look for somebody who's positive. I once had a lady come to me, and she'd been married 5 times. She was married 5 times. And each time she got a divorce. You know what her job was? A marriage counselor. A trained marriage counselor. And I said to her, well, look, there's something wrong here. We started to discuss it. And there was 3 others with her, and they said, well, we were taught at school the mental health of the practitioner is immaterial if they stick to their training. Now, if their training was right, they wouldn't be in that position. You can only give away what you have. If I go in my wallet now and I have a $20 bill, I can't give you 50. And if I'm an unhappy person, all I can give you is unhappiness. I can tell you how I became unhappy, that's no problem. But I can't tell you how to be happy. So always look for a positive person. Look for somebody that's, if you go for a marriage counseling, and the marriage counselor is and has big problems at home, I would really think about it. It's all logic. You're looking for logic. You're looking for simplicity. Should we just take a little break just now and just discuss with each other whatever you want? So, thank you. David, a question. Oh, you're all getting smart. You know, when I first started this, nobody knew what was going on. And I'd ask for questions. And literally, somebody would stand up with a roll of paper, open it up and say, I have 10 questions. And I say, number one. And they'd ask number one. If you'd answer number one, then they would look and say, you know, that's answered the whole 10. Because the answer is always the same. In 29 years, I've never said anything different. And that's why I was saying to my wife Judy yesterday, you know, this gets boring because I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Then I walk out and people will say, wow, it was sure different today. I've never heard you talk like this before. And I've been saying the same thing. Or somebody will come up to me and say, you know something, I heard you say something today. Finally, I got what you said. Why didn't you say that 10 years ago? And I say, well, I've been saying it for 10 years, but you never heard it. Or somebody will say, well, why wouldn't you? You ever tried that? You get in big trouble. You can't force anybody into truth. Truth is everywhere. Truth is the essence of all things. Truth is unexplainable. It's an unexplainable secret. It's formless. Truth is formless. And yet all form is created from this truth. But it's invisible. It's invisible to the senses, to the five senses. That's why you've got to go beyond the five senses to the spiritual part of life to find the answer. Now I know a lot of people in here, many religions in here. And I say you keep going to the church of your choice. And if you really listen, you'll find the truth. Because all the major religions have the truth at the very core. If you can get to the core, take all the physical trappings, take away the form, listen, go beyond the form to the formless, which lies inside, and there you will find the answer. There is no answer out here. There is no answer in this world of form. Nobody can find the answer in this world of form.
News at 8:30.
Only you can find it. Only you.
It's the first thing I've ever seen since I got here.
And once you find it,
On form,
you find it from the formless, automatically comes into form, you try and give it away, and what you're doing is you're giving away the form. And that's not the answer. So you talk to your client with the form, hoping that the client will see beyond the form to the formless, step inside, you go from their intellect to wisdom. And once they do that, the mental sickness vanishes. Because all mental sickness is created from using the three principles wrongly. Remember yesterday I told you it's like elements? You know how in science you have elements. You mix those elements and you get compounds. Well, it's exactly the same with your mind. You have those three principles. You could call them three psychological elements. You mix them to whatever you want, and they come out as psychological compounds. And psychological compounds, an example would be anger, hate, desire, jealousy, envy. They're the negative compounds. You change it, you remix them. After you hear something beautiful, the world becomes better because you've mixed those psychological elements and created positive psychological compounds such as love, caring, sharing. How simple can you get? You're already there. Everybody's already there. Everybody in this room, everybody in the mental hospital is sitting with mental health. The only thing is, they have so many psychological negative compounds, they can't think straight. And that's your job as therapist. You walk up to those people and you tell them the true nature of thought. All of a sudden, they start changing their elements and create positive compounds. And it's not a slow process, it's immediate. Because all they're doing is changing from one thought to another. And this is one of the greatest things to realize, to change your mind, to be able to change your mind. People sometimes say, once I make up my mind, I never change it. No matter what, I never change my mind once I made up my mind. And you think this is strength. It's super weakness. Because once you learn how thought dictates what you see in this life, this is where the strength is. This is where the power is. That you can go from one reality to another. Just go from one reality to another by simply changing your mind. Know if you're angry at somebody, You've done something wrong to you, and you feel anger. You've mixed those elements and created anger. You've created hostility. You've created jealousy. And you stop, you think about it. And back to thought, you think about it. And you think, maybe they really didn't mean it. Maybe they really didn't mean to harm. They've done it in innocence. The second you start thinking like that, you've changed those elements, you've remixed them, come out with positive compounds, you've set yourself free, then all of a sudden you feel good because you've freed yourself. And that's the same with your past. If you go back into the past and you say, oh boy, did I ever have a bad past? I'll tell you what happened to me. And you get into it. All the bad, negative experiences you had as a child, and they have created the form that you are now. And they'll keep you there a prisoner. So in actual fact, you're a prisoner of your past. Now, why would you take somebody to those prisons of the past to try and free themselves? Can't be done. But if you realize all it was thought, they're no longer real. They're an illusion carried through time. And once you see that, you break the prison walls, you tear down the bars, and you look anew, you see a new horizon, and the past is immaterial. It's an illusion in time. When you were young, it was happening. It was true. You were suffering. Whatever happened to you, immaterial what happened. You're suffering. And you carry this suffering through time, just like your patience. You carry it through time, and you're a prisoner. Once you realize the past no longer exists, you've found your freedom. And from then on, you'll have a happy life. And if anything goes wrong, you go down into a low mood, you have a great, great chance of realizing all you've done is change your mind. You've changed it back to the negative. And when you see that, you change it back to the positive. Negative, positive. It's all energy. There is nothing in this world that isn't energy. We're all created equal. That's what the great writings say. We're all created equal. Of course we are. Because we're all the same energy. We all have the same mind, conscious, and thought. We all have a free will. And here's where we're all created equal. Not the physical. Because I look different from you. We all look different on the physical plane. But on the spiritual plane, we're literally all equal. Because everything is energy. We are mortals. Because our body dies, but the soul goes on. Because the soul is infinite. Scientists said to me once, nobody can prove infinity. There's no such a thing. Of course you can't prove it. But it doesn't. That is what life is. It's infinite. Because it's all the same energy. Whether in form or formless. It's the same energy. Now, if everything is the same energy, that means to say that time is an illusion. Infinite means timeless. I used to think when I was young, the infinite was connected to time. It isn't. All it is, infinity is the same energy, period. Think of it. And if that's so, there couldn't possibly be a beginning or an end, because it's infinite, because it's the same energy. And everything stems from this divine energy. This is the secret to life. You know, the beauty too is you don't have to understand it. I remember sitting in a room with about 200 people, and one lady got up and she said, "You know, Sid, I don't have a clue what you're talking about." And I said, "Well, that's good." And she says, "What do you mean good? I don't understand it." And I said, "Well, what do you feel like?" She says, "I feel great." I said, "You're getting it." And she says, "No, I'm not. That's the trouble." I says, "Yes, you are, because you're feeling good." And I said to the audience of 200 people, "Is there anybody in this room really understands everything that's being said?" One hand went up, and that one hand argues with me all day, because they only thought. Here we're back to thinking again. They only thought they did. There was a very wise gentleman in the audience yesterday, and he came out with, he thought he understood the three principles, but he's beginning to realize he really doesn't. That is wisdom. If you go around saying you do and you don't, well, it's a good idea to join Idiots Anonymous, because it's a big club. You know, we all try and understand each other. And some people say women are different from men. They are in the physical plane. But in the spiritual plane, and as far as the mind's concerned, and the way it functions, we're all exactly the same. It's impossible to be different. You know, somebody was telling me that the fella's walking along the beach in Hawaii, and he finds this little brass lamp, and he picks it up, and he's cleaning it off, and all of a sudden the genie appears. And the genie says, "Master, I would love to give you one wish, anything you wish." He said, "Wow." He said, "I'll tell you what I really want. I'd love to go and visit Britain. But the only thing is, I'm afraid of flying. And I was wondering, could you build a highway from Hawaii to Britain so as I could drive there?" And the genie says, "Wow, this is a big order. This is a tall order. I've never been asked this before." He says, "And another thing, if I build this highway all the way from Hawaii to Britain, it will get in the way of a lot of shipping lanes." He said, "It's really a tough one. I don't know about this." So the fellow says, "Oh, okay. I changed my mind." He says, "There's one other thing I'd like to know. I'd like to know how women think." And the genie looks at him and says, "Do you want one lane or two?" You have to find it for yourself. And that's what I'm telling you. right now. I'm telling you that mind, conscious, and thought hold that secret. Remember yesterday I said, if you ever find the true nature of mind, you automatically would be enlightened. If you find the true nature of thought, you automatically would be enlightened. If you find the true nature of consciousness, you would automatically be enlightened. Because the three are one. They're the trinity of all psychological experience here on earth. It's another dimension of thought altogether. This is why Buddha told you, you are the world. You create the world you live in. You have to find it for yourself. And if you listen carefully, not just to what I'm saying, to some wise person that you think knows the secret. You can go to the library, you can find it. You can go to the church of your choice and find it. You can go to a kahuna and find it. You can go anywhere in the world. And once you know what truth is, you'll hear it spoken all over the world. You'll hear it on a day-to-day basis. But you've got to listen, not with your ears. You don't look with your eyes. It's beyond the senses. It lies deep in here. And once that secret comes out and is divulged to you, as I said before, it's a secret that can never be told. It cannot be told by words. It has to be found within your own soul, because your own soul holds that secret. And what stops you from getting in here is your own thinking. And one of the greatest things is your free will. That's what stops it. And if you can take your free will away, just for a split second, you'll find what you're looking for. But up until then, you'll be stuck in what you call an ego. And an ego, your ego, is a delusion. It's non-existent. People will say, well, what is the ego? I'll tell you this. Whatever you think it is, that's what it is. But I can tell you, it's a delusion. It's a delusionary world. Because we live in a divine illusion, suspended within the boundaries of time, space, and matter. Now we're back to that energy again, because all energy, whether in form or formless, when it comes into this physical world, everything is created from that same spiritual energy. This is why the North American Indian, the wise man or the wise woman, would tell you that the sky, the ocean, the lakes, the fish that swim in them, all the same energy in a different disguise. But because they didn't know anything about energy, they call it spirit. It's all the same spirit. Everything is the same spirit, because everything comes from that divine formless energy, which is a God spirit, comes into a form, it comes into a divine illusion. And those wise medicine men, they saw past the illusion. They saw that everything was the same spirit. Now, if you were talking to a North American Indian, you would talk about spirit. You go to a university and you talk with a scientist or a physicist, they'd say, no, I don't want to hear that. They say, okay, then let's change the word. And you say everything derives from the same energy. You say, oh, that's better. But you're saying the same thing. The only thing is you're using a different word to suit the situation. And that's why when you talk with clients, don't be afraid to change the word. Because they might hear one word and not another. But ignore the word. The word can never hold truth. The word is from this plane, from this physical reality. Go beyond the word. There lies the answer. Always. It's been there from the beginning of time, and it'll be there till you and I are gone. Because it's the same thing. Everything is the same. Everything is one. There can only be one. That's why there can only be one God. It's a feeling. And if you ever go and listen to somebody that you think knows the answer, listen very, very carefully. What's coming out, the feeling. Because it's all in a feeling. If you get a negative feeling, you're not healing. If you get a positive feeling, then it's getting through you. Take that positive feeling, absorb it, appreciate it, walk away with it, you'll find your answer. Perhaps bit by bit. Whenever you have an insight, guarantee it's instant. The change is instant. Because you've gone from this material world, from the ego, you bypass it, you look within, the ego vanishes, you go to the spiritual part, to a deeper dimension of thought, to what you would call purity of thought, and you find your answer. Once you do that, you'll realize instantly the simplicity of it. And you say, look for simplicity. Don't look for the complicated. You have to listen to a little voice that lies deep within yourself, ready to come out. And once you silence your mind, this little voice, this purity of thought, comes out and gives you the answer. Because as I said before, the answer lies within. It's already there. We are all the same spiritual energy in this world of form, seeking, trying to find out where we came from. What is this big world? Where did we come from? What is it? And that's why these wise people like Buddha told you to meditate. Now, when they tell you to meditate, a lot of people get a little bit lost and they think you have to sit in a specific way and do specific things to find the state of meditation. The second you try, you've lost it. You've lost it. But if you're walking down the road or you're walking through the woods, you might be fishing, golfing, no matter what you're doing, you're always really walking in the state of meditation. The only thing is, your little ego mind will not allow you to see beyond. And if sometime you happen to go into that, what you call a state of meditation, that quietness, that stillness, the soul which is pure consciousness, allows you to come out. And when it comes out as an insight, a sight from within. And that sight is what you call wisdom. You go, oh, that's simple. I'm going to tell my friend. And your friend looks at you and say, hey, wait a minute, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. But once you have that insight, and you pick up a book that maybe you've read 100 times, the book changes. It's a totally different book because you start walking in a different world. Every time you have an insight, this world changes. At least that's what you think. The world's still the same. It's your mind that has changed. It's your thought system that has changed. It's your consciousness has changed. And once this change takes place, the world you live in changes. It changes to a better life. And people will say, well, what if it changes to the worse? That's impossible. Because divine mind, divine knowledge, wisdom, is always positive. It's impossible for it to be negative. And nobody in this world can penetrate into the unknown with negativity. Because the unknown holds nothing but pure love. Because pure love is pure mind, purity of mind. Pure consciousness is purity of consciousness. Pure thought is purity of thought. And once you realize that, you'll go home to where you belong. You go home to that divine state. Everybody in the world is already there, but they don't know. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very, very much, because I know some of you have come thousands of miles to be here, and I really appreciate that. It's been a pleasure for 29 years to be able to give away, or try to give away, the gift that I was granted on Salt Spring Island. Thank you.
What is it that you've discovered?
Well, Shane, what I discovered 4 years ago is miraculous, to say the least. And I was blessed with the gift that was given to me. And what I found out, there was 3 divine principles: divine mind, divine consciousness, and divine thought. And they are the 3 principles that hold the secret to all human experience. And I realized when I first found them, if psychology and psychiatry could understand this, it would change psychology and put it into another dimension altogether to cover everything in this world, the entire psychological experience. Because This is what life is. From the cradle to the grave, it's a psychological experience. It's all brought about by using mind, consciousness, and thought. And without these principles, there wouldn't even be life. And they're the Trinity. There can't be any more because they're the Trinity. They're the total essence of all life here on earth.
Could you once again talk about the three principles and what they are and what they mean?
Well, let's put it this way. I'll digest the story and we'll go back 34 years ago and I'll tell you the story, how it happened. And maybe this will help you. I remember I was sitting in the living room reading the paper, the newspaper. And I stood up to tell my late wife something. And instead, I looked out the picture window at the ocean. And it was like being sucked down a tunnel. Literally sucked down a tunnel. And all of a sudden, I was shrouded by white buzzing light. And I went beyond time, space, and matter, beyond this world, and realized all life was a great illusion created from this formless energy. Then when I don't know how many seconds it took, but this light vanished, and I turned around and started to cry. And I said to my late wife, I'm home, I'm free, I've made it. I don't know how many seconds it took, but this light vanished, and I turned around with a light. And I went beyond time, space, and matter, beyond this world, and realized that all life was a great illusion created from this formless energy. Then when I don't know how many seconds it took, but this light vanished, and I turned around and started to cry. And I said to my late wife, I'm home, I'm free, I've made it, I've conquered this world. Now that's a very unusual thing for me to say. Well, that's what happened, but you can imagine Barbara's face. It was like I'd shot her. She thought I'd gone off my head. But since then, everything I said has become a fact. I know it sounds strange. As a matter of fact, when I first found this, 3 days later, I went back to my work. And unknown to me, I changed so much that nobody knew me. My voice was different, my face was different, the way I talked was different, the way I acted was different, and I never realized it. But one thing I did realize, and it was interesting, when I went back into the work, there was maybe 400 people, I saw every single one of them working from these principles. And if they were using those principles negatively, then they were unhappy people, or sad people, or disturbed people. And the ones that were using them in a positive way, they were the happy ones. It's because those principles, how you use them, dictates your whole outcome in life.
You wouldn't be alive if you weren't using them. You're using them all the time. You just have to understand that you are.
You are using them all the time. But you're using them wrongly sometimes. Sometimes you're using them correctly. But if you know what they are, then you can go around and change your life. Why it happened to me, I have no idea. Because to be truthful, yeah, I'm definitely most undeserving, but it did happen. And that's what you call self-realization. You realize how you are connected to this world. You realize what some people call the oneness of life. You realize that everything that comes from a divine, formless, spiritual energy before creation. And when this formless, divine energy takes form, we call it creation. When you go further, the whole world is an illusion. The second we leave our mother's womb, we start using those three principles, mind, conscious, and thought, to see creation. The second we do that, we're into our intellect, and we lose this wisdom that was deep in our soul before birth. And the idea is to go back and claim this wisdom. That's why the great mystics have always told you, look within for the answer. It's not out there. Out there is the illusion. This is what we blame for our problems. Then we create more problems. But if you look inside, you find the wisdom. Once you find the wisdom, you become wiser. It's like we're helping business people. We don't know anything. I don't know anything about business. I've never even tried. I don't have to. If I'm trying to help a businessman, I would try and get him to find his own wisdom. Now when he finds it, he becomes a wise businessman. And that goes for any profession in the world. You're not telling them what to do, you're making them wiser. And this is what these three principles do. As I say, they're the trinity to all human experience here on earth. They're the essence, they're the lost secret that the psychologists and psychiatrists have been looking for since day one. And I realize they're being taught certain things. And I know it's difficult to believe. But you see, what they were taught was from the outside to go inside and make the better. And that's not it. The secret lies when you realize the wisdom you seek is inside, then you go outside and change it. That's it. It's so simple, and yet it's so profound. And people think, well, I'm all about mind, conscious, and thought, because intellectually I can see it. But that's not it. My pet parrot could say mind, conscious, and thought, but the parrot wouldn't know anything about it. And they'll say, well, it'll come to an end once you realize that. That's not true. If you start talking about the principle, you could talk forever because they cover everything in this world. You could never come to the end of discussing the three principles. It'd go into psychology, psychiatry, philosophy, theosophy. It would go into mysticism. It'll go into physics, neuroscience. It's got the ultimate answer. Now, I don't know anything about physics because I only had a grade 9 education. But after this experience, I knew, well, ultimately, I've been going down the stage quite a few times to talk to some of the best physicists. And they always wanted me to explain why it is I say time, space, and matter are all evolution. And what the problem was, they were talking about the already formed energy in this world, and what I'm talking about is the divine formless energy before it is created into this world. But after it was finished, said, no sick, you don't know what you're talking about. But you know, you know. And I thought that was a beautiful thing to say. And someday, go back. It is. It's a divine illusion. Suspended within the boundary of time, space, and time. And that space and time are all looking at. I know it's a little, there's no other way I can express it. Because how can a great, nice, educated brother who is tolerant, right hand, and is right, know immediately that he is qualified to go to any university in the world and talk about all these different subjects? There was something there. And that's what God has. Because my God always said, to go. And I want to see God. My advice is, if you ever on a date and you don't meet anything else because you get straight from off the top, so to speak. Nobody can find the family getting the seven principle of role play, techniques. They're all from the inside. Now, I remember many years ago, this month, with all these roads with it, you could see that. And you listen, he wasn't getting anywhere. He was a very unhappy guy, and he told me that his wife wasn't good. And he said to me, there was something puzzling. Why did you decide to do it for psychology rather than stress? And I said, well, I didn't do this for her. He said, no, you're going through psychology and psychiatry. I said, that's so much fun. Then I tell you the whole night psychological treatment, if you can. I said, but that doesn't answer the question. Why did you say mind knows itself? And I said, well, tell me something. What is the only thing in this world that could be divided? Said, God. And I said, well, what is the only thing in this world that can be divided consciously? He said again, God. And I said, well, what is the only thing in this world that can be divided thought? He says, God. I said, well, it's no spiritual thing here. And he never got it. And to this day, still searching all the world for the truth. And here he was, standing, listening to it, and didn't recognize it. But that's okay, because he wasn't ready. You make yourself ready. When you're ready, you'll be it. If you never get ready, you won't. You might have to go through another lifetime. Start all over. But when you're ready, the truth will be there for you. No matter where you go. You know, see, people, they go to India and the search for truth. They go to China. They go up the Himalayas and search for truth. And never find it. Never. No one will find it. You look in the mirror and you say, ah, why is it so? Once you see that, the search is finished. There's no place to search. I find that so-called naive people come to receive many, many thanks from me. The second they got off that road, I knew they weren't. You know why? Because of the enlightenment, the overview, that we're still searching for the truth outside. No thought. There's that thought. Why would you think the world is? That's what the world is. Why would you think you believe? That you believe. It's called thought. If you think you're a sad person, you couldn't be a sad. If you think you're a happy person, you believe it. were bulimic, anorexic, all different kinds of things. And I've seen all change. And more than that, the beautiful thing is we changed the life therapists through the world. And when we found out, the few of them all their own treatment, started to work with the principals, and they started to see miracles in their offices. They saw cures that they never thought possible. People who have been in therapy for many, many years and told by the psychiatrists and psychologists that they will never be mentally healthy. And quite often they go back to the therapist and say, I don't need you anymore. I just read this book, or I just listened to this man called Sidney Banks. And they'll say it can't impossible. When they want to give it to food, they don't want to live. You know what happened? Because they have jumped ahead of the therapist. And this is how powerful this is. And this is why I say, if the therapists of the world ever really start to take this, there'd be healings all over the world. I've been in a jail where there was 300 people, and every single one of them was carrying that book, The Enlightened Gardener. And I had so many stories, it was unbelievable. I had one story. Now, this girl wasn't in jail, but I met her there because she's now a teacher. And her story was fantastic. When she was a young lady, she got abducted by a policeman. And she got tied up, she got raped, she got beaten. And finally the police found her and she was released. But then she had to go for medical help for quite a few years. She was in and out of hospital. She had every kind of treatment known to man. And she showed me a letter where the hospital sent her, signed by a psychiatrist, saying that she would never be mentally healthy and she needs help all her life. Now, when I walked into that jail, she came up to me, she hugged me and thanked me. And really, I didn't know what she was talking about. But then she told me the story. And I'll tell you something, it was unbelievable. And that lady now is so healthy that she's become a teacher. She teaches the 3 principles to other prisoners. And all those therapists that have changed, they've told me that what they were doing didn't work. And now they're thrilled. They love the work, whereas before they were all cracking up. They were all leaving the profession. But now they go to work and they love it because they know they're helping people. Now that's quite different. That's really quite different.
Maybe one last thing is, what's your hope for humanity? What's your hope for the world?
Well, my hope for humanity is that the level of consciousness rises. See, nobody can change this world. I've said many times, for the world to change, the consciousness of humanity has to be elevated. Because right now, the conscious state of the world is in a deplorable condition. And this is why there's wars, atrocities, killings, etc., etc. And it's going to get worse. Believe me, it's going to get worse. Unless the consciousness rises. And I've had therapists argue with me and say, hey, Sid, just a minute. We've had conscious raising seminars for years and they don't work. No, they weren't raising the consciousness. They were telling you what you do with your consciousness. And if you ever realize the difference between what you do with it and the true nature of the consciousness, then that elevates you, your consciousness. Then when you look out into the world, it looks different.
And that's what people will have to do is mass, is lift their level of consciousness, they look outside and see a different world, then the world will change.
Well, hmm? Hmm? You say good morning. Say hey. Um, so just right there. What?
No.
Wow. Time you woke up.
Like 6:40, 6:50.
It's early. Shit.
And
Early.
yeah, anything I can do.
It's up by 9.
What do you do?
If it ain't sleep, it's trying to go long and gold. That's it. Trying to go long and gold.
These offices. Perform help at office. I'm going to this office and no time like office.
Office for what?
So they recruited office and promotion support. I will start anyway for them, but wow, I just think that. I got it on my mind, I just think cool.
Oh. Yeah, I know. I never registered it.
And use I reached out to the promotion.
What?
I probably reached out to the promotion.
Say it again?
So I probably reached out to the promotion.
Oh.
How was your day?
It's cool. Just tired. I was tired.
Mm.
You got lashes today?
Yeah. It's a cold cylinder. Thank you, my again, sitting. And then all the phone shoots again, and then phone shoots some more. It's all looking at my face.
Hmm?
So if I have interviews today, that's why I'm outfit today. Well, let's shoot some more. I ain't trying to be looking at my face.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
stomach was hurting so bad. So
Mm. What you do?
feel like cramps and contractions.
I almost gave birth last night.
Mm,
I almost gave birth last night.
no. Legs and hips. So preterm labor. So uncomfortable.
Mm. Hey, what happened when you laid on your rib? What happened when you laid on your rib?
And pain.
That's it.
Depends on how many times you late and how late you are. All permits say they on the 10th, I think they file for like eviction or something.
On the 10th. That made no sense.
What happened?
I just gotta go to Walmart. Do it. I said, did it.
Like, where you going?
I'll
You
go.
need to know.
I'll leave early. That's what it work. I'm slightly.
You need to log and you don't log to see how much extra it is.
need to reinstate my LLC. That shit gonna cost me $700.
I'm sure it is cool.
I'm trading, building a bank account, trying to be wealthy, not just scraping by profits. I'm trying to make use of it. LLC, it's a good way. It's a business. Trying to make it a business. But I'm forming it into one. You got the skill to collect profits and shit. You just need that, you know? I need to reinstate it. That's later on. That's you can see why people would make an LLC. I could do a DBA instead.
Yeah.
Man, if you had that business during COVID like that, you'd end up with PP loans.
It's PPP.
Fucking pay people pronto. Pay people pronto.
Oh,
calls. This trade played out. This trade played out at what? This trade played out between, I'm going to say, that the breakout at 9:20 and the pullback at 9:30, 9:45. Got different ways of entry right here. Pullback. So I think it's now push down some more. Yeah, there's gap to fill. This was the tank I was talking about from. Maybe we did CJ come Tuesday, Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I think it was right here. I was looking at this. I think it was right here. I was trying to go. I thought it was gonna go down from here. I think it reversed. That's how it is. Retest. Liquidity. Now it's dropped. I don't think I'm gonna drop. day. You trade layout and everything could go to bed early. This could drop all the way back down to here, which I think is fine. I think it's overall it's gonna drop to here. I think it's some good trades that I be doing there. It's weird. That to that. It's probably what we're reacting. So react off that. It's gonna matter to the whole thing. That. I think we're gonna come back down to here. It's a true. True. Pushed up to look at it. Double top. Push it to here. Yeah. I think overall we're gonna sell to here. Gotta find setups. So that'll be the last trade. Stretch this. reversal. Reversal. Take it at break of this. Stop loss. So the last trade for the day. Stop loss. 1, 2, 3. So the last one for the day. So this will be another trade that we will take for the day. Take it to this gap. To 6. And the gap there. So I'm gonna do that trade triggers.